Hey Roadrunners, welcome back to Live Medallion. This is Tulane 2023 preview. I'm gonna admit I've not been able to watch many Tulane games. They play when we play. I'm in the Alamo Dome, or I'm watching my team, or they're not even on TV, right? And so all I can go by are the stats. So let's just break right into it. I've got my blue helmet on. I've got my white jersey for the road. I think they might go blue helmets this time. Who knows? They might go all ice. So let's see what they do. Let's see what they detail. They haven't detailed it yet. So they'll probably tell us Thursday, right? So total points per game for UTSA, 33.1. Net passing yards, 2,800 net passing yards for UTSA. This is on the season. This is how I'm going to have to do this today. Rushing yards, 1921. So total offense, 4,720 yards, 429 yards per game, net offense, right? Kicking for average punt yards, 39, a little over 39. Punting, penalties, 582 total yards. Time of possession, right at 30 minutes a game. So we hold the ball about half the time. Turnover ratio 1. Now I'm going to slip back over to Tulane, right? Let's go see what Tulane has for stats. On the team stats, 27.7 points per game. First down, let's see. Hold on, where's it at? Net passing yards. Where's net passing yards? Oh, here we go. Net passing yards, 25-28. Both those things favor UTSA. Rushing yards, 1780. Again, another thing in favor for UTSA. Our offense, we know it's prolific. If we look at total yards, I've already done this. We're number 2 in conference behind SMU, right? Yards per game, they got 391. So we do about 30 more yards per game. Punting yards, 40. Turnover ratio, 2, right? They've had 9 lost fumbles, right? They time of possession, 32 yards, 32 minutes. So they probably more of a ball possession offense. I wish I could get some defensive stats here because I hear that they're one of the better defenses in conference. I don't think it's going to come to that. I don't think it's going to come down to who has a better defense. I think it's going to come down to who's going to execute better on offense. Sounds kind of funny, but I think we have the advantage with Frank. If Frank's healthy, his dynamic legs, right? That's just where it's going to be. Now, what I'm going to look at is the last 5. So they played FAU. We played FAU. We beat FAU 36-10. We did not give up an offensive touchdown. We only gave up the field goal, right? They gave up 8 points to FAU, but they only scored 24. Let's see. ECU, they beat ECU 13-10 at ECU. We had ECU at home. We won 41-27. UNT, they won 35-28 at home. We won 37-29 at UNT. Rice, they squeaked by with last minute field goal, I do believe, but they won 30-28. At Rice, we took care of Rice 34-14. I don't think they played USF, but maybe they did. But my point is we have enough common opponents that one could say we've performed better against those opponents, right? On the road and at home, right? At least recently too, right? So they recently played FAU. Sorry, they recently played UNT. We played UNT a couple. I feel sorry for UNT. UNT had a 4-game stretch. Memphis, SMU, UTSA, Tulane. I don't know if that's the exact order, but they played those 4 in a row. Rice played SMU, Tulane, and us in a row. Ooh. That's kind of brutal, right? That's hard to do. I kind of feel for him in a way that I don't feel for him either. Okay. So that's about all we can talk about. Let's go with individual stats. We're going to do that. So their leading passer, M. Pratt, last name by Pratt, he's 19 TDs, 4 INTs. Frank has 17 TDs, 6 INTs. Frank has thrown some pretty bad interceptions early in the game, early in the season. But Frank has thrown for 2,300 yards. He's thrown for 2,000 yards. Gavorian, he hasn't played at all the last 2 games, really, right? I don't think he's gotten a carry the last 2 games. He has 606 yards with 6 TDs. Their leading rusher has 1,000 yards with 206 carries, 6 TDs. He carries the ball pretty good. Receiving yards, Josh Cephas has it in spades over their leading receiver with 966. He has a chance to leave this season, the regular season, with 1,000 yards. Keys, their leading receiver, has 599 yards on 33 carries, 7 TDs, right? So he's pretty darned efficient. So like I said, I don't think this comes down to defense. I think this is going to be all about the offense. And it's going to be our offensive line's ability to make Tulane's defense honest on the inside run, right? That inside RPO is got to be, right? Has got to be effective for us, right? That's, to me, is where the game is, and that's where we've seen it. You've seen me lament about why are we sticking with it. I talked my recovery video. Yeah, I was recovering from the game, from the review video of last week's game. And I said, they stuck with it, and it was surprisingly mildly successful, but it opened everything up. It's going to come down to our offensive coordinator, who was offensive coordinator of the week, right? Whether he adjusts quick enough to make it even easier on us. Sometimes offensive coordinators, they get stuck. They get curmudgeon. They're like Clint Eastwood, get off my lawn. And they stick with something a tad too long. When everyone else can see that 3 times is enough, let's give it the 4th time. But they're afraid that 4th time is going to be the time that the other team guesses right. But for me, I would be the guy that says, look, Frank, you got to pull it and try to throw it. And if that's not there, then just follow in the hole and you get 5 yards and roll down, dive forward and lay down, right? That's the kind of dynamics that we have with Frank Harris. It's going to be his last regular season as a Roadrunner. They have a lot to accomplish. I think last year we may have seen how hungry this team is, right? Regardless of what we saw with Army, right? Take that game out. Every game we've seen, even including Tennessee with a backup QB, we played hungry, right? I think this team has kind of found its identity again. And maybe they're looking at themselves saying, we have a chance to go undefeated in conference in back-to-back years in a new conference and win be a chance to win conference championships 3 years in a row. And that is hard to do. And if those kids are mature, those 18 seniors are mature, and they beat that in, we know how well Trey Moore can play. Beat that in his head. We know how well Donnie can play. Beat that in his head. And I know how competitive those 2 guys are. And if that festers, right, with the team, with our running backs, with Kavorian, hopefully he's healthy, right? Our tight ends. I don't know about McCoy. I have not seen anything about McCoy. I haven't seen J.J. Perez post about McCoy saying he's okay. I haven't seen anybody even ask, to be honest with you. I could be wrong, but I haven't seen anybody even ask, how's McCoy doing? Right, but we know McEwen, Amador, man, if those guys say, you know what, they're hungry too. They want to be a part of history. I like our chances. I like our chances a lot. Now, the one thing I haven't looked at, let's look at maybe weather. Game time weather, 67 degrees and sunny. You know how odd that is this time of the year in Louisiana? That's pretty odd. Usually it's pretty wet. Might come in our favor. Now, here's the funny thing. Their stadium only holds 30,000 people. I mean, not that they need more, But that's it. Only holds 30,000 people. That's amazing to me. It's a quaint little stadium. Cute little picture of it. I mean, what more do you really need for a small school? That's all Rice needs. But Rice, of course, has, Rice Stadium back when they were hosting the bigger schools and also hosted a Super Bowl. But that's kind of quaint. I mean, I guess if they need more people in the stands for bigger teams, they can play in the Superdome, right? They can play in downtown New Orleans and get that game scheduled there. They probably are just like us. They can't get big schools to come, so they got to travel, which is fine. That's how we make $2 million playing Texas. 1.5 playing Texas A&M, or was it like 980,000? Whatever. But that funds our program. What do I see? Man, I don't know. I'm afraid to make a prediction, but I will tell you this. We're going to be far more competitive, and this game is going to be, this might be super duper competitive. This might be the type of game that the winner goes into the title game beat to heck. I'm being serious about that. This might be the type of game that the winner here just sells out to get through this game, which you do every game, but it is so physical, right? That you find yourself, oh my God, now I gotta prepare for who? SMU? I gotta prepare for Memphis, right? That is, or a rematch. A rematch could happen. A rematch could absolutely happen. If SMU loses and UTSA wins, a rematch happens. Because Tulane will still be the highest ranked one-loss team. And I do believe they've already beaten Memphis. So it would be a rematch in the Alamo Dome. I don't like rematches. I don't, because I think the rematch favors the team that lost earlier in the season, unless it was like a big loss. Like North Texas almost beat us, right? But we really weren't playing that well when they almost beat us. It wasn't them stopping us. It was more of us stopping us. So that was a little different. But Western Kentucky, remember the previous year, we played Western Kentucky. We didn't really stop Western Kentucky. We beat them, 59-52? And then we ended up winning 52-48 or something silly like that in the championship game. 52-46. I mean, that's the type of game this could be, right? And the only reason why Western Kentucky was as close as it was, why we were able to pull that up, was we got Tariq back, right? Tariq Woolen. And he helped, once he got his legs up underneath him, helped lock down the secondary, right? This could be one of those games. This is a dangerous game after the game for both teams. For the winner of this game, this is a dangerous game after this game. And I'm being serious when I say that. That's what we got to worry about. It's all about wash, right? Rinse, repeat, right? Rest and recovery. Race, rest and recovery. Compete, rest and recovery. That's what this game is going to be about. Tulane still feeling it from last year. Don't think they aren't, right? Don't think they aren't. I know that Tulane lost to Ole Miss earlier in the year, right? 37-20. Now they had Ole Miss at home. It shows Ole Miss at home. They hosted Ole Miss. Kind of weird. Wonder if that was in the Superdome. See if it shows it. No, they were actually at home. 30,000 people filled that stadium. I guarantee it was mostly Ole Miss. But that's still a competitive loss. That is a competitive loss. Ole Miss ain't a bad football team, right? One of the above level SEC teams, right? So we're gonna have our hands full. We're gonna have our hands full. We are going to have our hands full. Peace out, Roadrunners. Happy Thanksgiving. And so far, no news is broken. So no news is good news. Peace out. Birds up. Let's get that dub on Friday. UTSA 27, Tulane 17. Boo!